Hey, welcome back. We're going to take a little break from actual scripting and we're going to learn how to understand command descriptions, how to read them, how to know what they mean. So what we're going to do is open SCAR and either press F1 or go to help and then press help, this little button right here. Now you should have something like this pop up. This is the manual, the SCAR manual. It has a bunch of some scripting examples, like we're going to learn some of these later, some loops and the if-then statements. But most importantly, it has a list of all, or at least most, of the commands that SCAR gives to you that you can use right away without importing, without using includes. So we're going to learn how to read them. Let's go down to string functions. That's somewhere we're gonna see look at some of these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom in, just make it easier for you. And let's start right here. So here you see we're gonna start with this command called position. And let's start by learning what this keyword in front means. So you see there's two different kinds, there's two possible kinds. You can either see procedure or function. The difference between procedure and function is that procedure does not give you anything back. Remember when we were learning about variables and we learned that you can store something from a command into a variable? You know, we did variable equals command and then it did something and gave us back value or something. Well, functions are the type of commands that do that. They return something. So if you see the word function, that means that it's going to return, it's going to give something back to you that you can capture with a variable or you can use in another command. And procedure just means that there won't be something returned. Next, we have the command name in blue. This is the command name. So if you want to use the command, you're gonna say position, then you're gonna open the brackets and fill the stuff in and close it. So the position, the blue is the name, and within the parentheses are something called parameters, or I refer to them as options, like something that you fill in to tell SCAR, give it some options for the command. And the parameters or the options are listed similarly to how we saw them when we were declaring variables, when we were telling SCAR that variables exist, like a colon string, and we told SCAR that meant that a was a variable that was a string. So this is the same way. They pretty much give the name of the variable, then however many they want of the same type with a separated with a comma. Then they use a colon and they say what type it is. So if you were using this command position, you would know that there were two parameters because substring 1 is one, s is another one, and you would know that they are both strings. If you look at this function right here, the copy command, see how it has more than two. It has an s, which is a string, so the first option is a string. Then it has two integers, long integers, which is just integers that can hold more numbers. Don't worry about that for now, just know that they're integers. So there's I from count and I count. These are two integers. So when you would use copy, you would say copy, then you would give it a string, then use comma, then give it an integer, then use comma, then give it another integer, and then you would close it off. There are no more variables. Okay? And finally, after they close the function, they tell you what they're going to give back to you, what type of variable they're going to return. So if you use this command called copy, and you give it all this stuff, then it will give back to you a string, some text. It'll give back text to you. So this is what this means. It means text. And then for position, it'll give you an integer. So when you capture it, your variable that captures it has to be an integer, because this gives back an integer. And notice how the commands that are procedures don't have this part because they don't return anything, so they don't need it. But functions, the one that have the keyword function, they have a colon and then they give something back. And finally, this is going to be a little more complicated, but we're gonna actually use it in the next video, so it's important that you understand what this is. See in this procedure, in the command called delete, it's a procedure, but there's something different here. There's a keyword var. Why would they use that keyword? I mean, see in these two, these two commands, there was no keyword var. They just told you what variables to put in here, what options or parameters, what type they are, and how many there are, what positions they're in. But there was no black var. So when you see a black var, that means the next thing until a semicolon is a variable that they're going to fill in. So for example, in this command called delete, you will give it a string, some variable. It has to be a variable. It can't be just text because it's going to put something back in there. It's going to take whatever you give it, a variable that's going to be a string. And because of this word var, it means that it's going to give it back to you, but edited. It's going to change something in it. And the delete command, if you read it, it says it deletes part of the string. So it deletes part of this s that you give it and gives you back the rest that's not deleted. And once again, remember that it's only the var keyword. If you see that, it's only valid until a semicolon. So if they wanted to make I from and I count also the same way, so they give it back to you, they'd have to put another var right here. And this is very popular in places where you need to give back more than one value. So for example, we're gonna look at something, a command called find color. Let's look it up right now. Control F for the find interface. So here's a command called find color, and it's kind of long, but we're gonna look through it. So it's a function which means it gives something back, and it gives that back a boolean. See the colon boolean. So when it looks for a color, it'll tell you whether it found it or not with this boolean. It'll return it. But you'd also see that it is going to give back the position of the color, where it finds the color. So it uses the keyword var to say that x and y are variables. It'll give them back to you. You give it to them, it'll fill it with something, and then it'll give back to you. So because it can't return more than one thing, it can't give you back more than one thing through here. So instead, it'll give you the coordinate of the color where it found it right here. We'll look at this command more in depth in the next video. Remember that you can always look through these and try them out. They might not work. You might get some error at first. So don't worry about it. Just move on to the next one, and maybe I'll explain it in a later video, or ask me in the comments. But definitely check them out. You might see some that are very useful, especially dealing with math or strings. So thanks for watching. Check out the next video whenever it comes out.